Good morning, Cedar Lane. All right. It's wonderful to see you all, so many of you, on this long weekend. Thank you for showing up. I was observing with the team earlier this morning, just saying this is, a long holiday weekend. It should be pretty light and easy, and here you are. This is great. Whether you're here in person or joining us online from home, it's a joy to be together in worship. I am Reverend Abhijanamanchi. I use pronouns he and him. And just to give you a visual snapshot, I am a South Asian Indian male in my 50s with dark hair and a graying mustache and beard, wearing a burgundy shirt and vest and brown pants and a stole which has various kinds of Unitarian and Unitarian Universalist chalices on them, and also the Hindu symbol Om. A special welcome to anyone who's here for the first time, or maybe the first time in a long time. However you found your way to our religious community, you belong here. At Cedar Lane, we say love, and we mean it. Whoever you are, whomever you love, wherever you come from, whatever your life circumstance, gender identity, sexual orientation, disability, documentation status, or spiritual path, you are welcome here. If you're new or still finding your way around this place, we'd love to connect with you. If you're joining us online, please pop a hello in the chat, and we'd love to say hi. And if you're here in person and feel comfortable, raise your hand, give us a wave, so we can give you a warm Cedar Lane welcome. We have quite a few folks visiting today. Let's give them a warm welcome. Thank you for taking a chance and taking the risk to join us here. After the service, join us in the fellowship hall for some refreshments, coffee, tea, and conversation. Look for a yellow mug, because at Cedar Lane, yellow means hello. And if you pick up a white mug, it's okay. It's your invitation to say hello to someone new. And as we enter this time of worship, I invite all of you to lean in to the music, the words, the quiet moments, and the movement of this multi-generational space. There are creative materials that are available for all ages outside, and so feel free to check them out. And if you need a moment of care, our caring ministry team, led by Helen Pekacek, is here for you today. Thank you, Helen, for your ministry. And now, in the spirit of love and connection, turn to your neighbor, share a warm greeting, say hello, neighbor.
Good morning. I'm Barb Warman. My pronouns are she, her. It's my joy to be your worship associate today. Visually, I'm an older, petite white woman with white hair and glasses. Today, I'm wearing blue pants and a top with tropical flowers of many colors. In our Unitarian Universalist tradition, we light a chalice as our symbol of our shared faith and community. As Gail Riley and Tom Nixon come up to light our chalice, we invite those joining online to share in the chat where you are lighting yours. Do you want this? Please rise in body and/or in spirit and join me in the chalice lighting words. We light this chalice for the flame of reason, the light of truth, and the warmth of love, a legacy passed down by bold minds and brave hearts, still calling us to seek, to grow, and to act. Thank you. Please standing, sorry. We're going to sing number 12, O Life That Maketh All Things New, and this is by Unitarian poet Samuel Longfellow.
Thank you, Kate, for that beautiful flower arrangement. So let me tell you a story that's over 450 years old. It's the story of a boy named John Sigismund. I love that. Can you say that? John Sigismund, born in 1540 in a kingdom torn apart by war and politics. Right. His father was John I, King of Hungary, but his crown wasn't secure. His mother, Queen Isabella, was smart, determined, and fiercely protective of her son, and she worried that John would grow up safe and free to think for himself. But life was complicated. There were 2 kings of Hungary in that time, and there were 3 competing empires. The Ottomans, the Habsburgs, and the Hungarians were all fighting for control. And little John, he was caught in the middle. After John's father died, his mother ruled for him, but they were pushed out of the capital and sent east, first to Lippo and then to Transylvania, a beautiful land of mountains and mist, not Dracula. Now, John Sigismund grew up there, surrounded by teachers, philosophers, and reformers. And now, this is where the story gets interesting. As John grew older, he started asking questions. He was raised Catholic, like many kings before him. But John was curious. He wanted to know, why do we fight over religion? Why do people have to believe exactly the same way? What if we allowed people to follow their conscience? Now, with his mother's encouragement, John read, listened, and debated. He met a doctor, a physician by the name of Giorgio Biandrata. Another good name. Let's try that. Giorgio Biandrata, who believed that God was one, not 3. And he also listened to Ferenc David, another good name. Ferenc David, or Francis David, a fiery preacher who taught that love, not dogma, was at the heart of faith. And you know what happened? John changed his mind again and again. First, from Catholic to Lutheran, then from Lutheran to Calvinist, and then from Calvinist to Unitarian. You know the story. Imagine that. A king who asked, I don't know everything. I'm still learning. Who said reason matters, conscience matters, tolerance matters. Every person must be free to believe according to their truth. Now, he didn't stop there. In 1568, in the city of Torda, King John Sigismund gathered the leaders of his land, all the religious leaders, Catholics, Lutherans, Calvinists, and Unitarians, and passed a law unlike any Europe had seen. It was called the Edict of Torda, and it declared faith is a gift of God. No one shall be reviled or punished for their religion. 1568. If you're students of history, the Inquisition was still going on in parts of Europe. So in a time when people were being jailed or killed for believing differently, this was revolutionary. John Sigismund, the only Unitarian king in history, who said, let there be no violence over religion. Let there be freedom of belief. Let reason and love guide us. Now, he died a couple of years later, unfortunately, in a hunting accident. He was assassinated without children, but his legacy, it lives on. In every question you dare to ask, in every moment you choose kindness over fear, in every community like this one that says you are free You are loved. You belong. And that is the flame of reason, that is the gift of our Unitarian faith. And it all began with a young king who dared to learn and had the wisdom to change. That's the story.
As we enter this time of joys and sorrows, I invite you to take a breath. Breathe in, breathe out. Let the breath bring you here into this moment, into this circle of care. This is our time to honor the fullness of life, the joys that lift us, the sorrows that weigh on us, the questions we carry quietly inside. Whatever you bring this morning, know this: you are not alone. You are held here. In our Cedar Lane community, we hold with care those grieving losses, those facing job insecurity, those seeking safety, those living with illness, seen and unseen, those witnessing against injustice. We carry them in love. We carry in our hearts the people of Texas, where devastating floods have already claimed 51 lives, with many more still missing. We hold the families who've lost loved ones, the communities displaced, the emergency workers still searching. We send our hearts across the world to those living under the shadow of war and violence. We hold the people of Gaza, where news of an impending ceasefire offers a fragile hope amidst unspeakable devastation. May peace find a way. I invite you now, if you wish, to rise in body or in spirit to speak the names of those you carry in your heart, or to share them in the chat. Let us hold them together in stillness and love. Lilo Mitz. We now invite you into a ritual of connection. At the side table are smooth stones waiting to be chosen. If you feel moved, come forward, choose a stone, and place it gently in the bowl of water as a gesture of what you carry, a joy, a sorrow, a hope. May the ripples remind us what we carry is never ours alone. You are welcome to come forward now.
I invite you now to take a moment and settle into your chair. Find a comfortable position and arrive into this space, bringing your full, whole self. And if you're comfortable, let your eyes close or soften your gaze. Go deeper within and feel your breath moving in and out, gently and steadily. And with each breath, allow yourself to slow down, to settle, to come home to yourself. We live in a world that often demands constant doing, constant striving, constant motion. But here, for these few minutes, you're invited to simply be. I invite you in the quiet of your heart to unhook the garment of busyness. Picture yourself just shrugging it off. The endless lists, the striving, the pressure to prove or perform, just letting it slip from your shoulders and fall gently to the ground. Beneath that garment, there is a deeper you, a self that is already enough. A self that is free, a self held by something vast and loving. Breathe into that self. Breathe into that freedom. Breathe into that acceptance. Let your breath be your anchor, steady, spacious, sustaining. And with each breath, I invite you to imagine the wide open space of freedom. Not freedom as something distant or bestowed by others, but freedom as something already alive within you. The freedom to be fully yourself. The freedom to bring your whole being into this moment, into this space. The freedom to live with kindness, with courage, with love, in community. And now bring to mind acceptance, the deep, quiet knowing that who you are as you are is enough. That life, in all its mystery and imperfection, is enough. That you are held always by something greater than your fears. Let's rest in that spaciousness together for a few breaths. And now I invite you to receive these words from the ancient Hindu text, the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, words of freedom, of peace, and acceptance. Asato ma sadgamaya. Lead me from untruth to truth. Tamaso ma jyotirgamaya. Lead me from the shadows into the light. Mrutyor mam amrutangamaya. Lead me from death to life. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So may it be. Blessed be.
As we come together this morning, we're invited to give, not just to keep the lights on or the programs running, but to invest in the mission and ministry of Cedar Lane Congregation. Everything we do here, worship, faith formation for all ages, justice work, and caring for one another depends on the generosity of this community. Every gift, no matter the size, helps make it possible. It's how we live out our values of love, justice, and welcome, not just in words, but in action. You can give to support Cedar Lane with your annual pledge, a one-time gift, or by contributing to today's Share the Plate partner. This morning, we're proud to share the plate with UUSJ, Unitarian Universalists for Social Justice. UUSJ works to bring UU values into public life, advocating for climate action, democracy, immigration justice, and economic fairness. They help amplify the moral voice of our faith on Capitol Hill and beyond, so critical in these times. Theodore Parker, one of our spiritual ancestors, once said, Be ours a religion which, like sunshine, goes everywhere. That's what your gifts make possible, sharing warmth, light, and love far beyond these walls. You can give online, by text, by mail, or right here in the offering plate. Every gift matters. Every gift helps nourish the community and carry our shared values into the world. The offering will now be given and gratefully received.
Thank you, members of our summer choir. All right. Jasmine and Michael for that beautiful piece. You know, the Unitarian divine William Ellery Channing preached many sermons at the ordinations and installations of many of his colleagues during his ministry. And one of the sermons he preached was in, I think, 1824, at the ordination and installation of Ezra Stiles Gannett at the Federal Street Church in Boston, which later on became the Arlington Street Church. And Channing preached, from what I hear, for an hour and 20 minutes. Thank you. That's what I'm doing. I was about to say that, Mike. Thank you. So I'm gonna improve on Channing today by eliminating the hour. I mean, you know, almost 2,000 years of Unitarian history in 20 minutes, you know? We'll see. So I invite us, starting today, to go on a journey through time, through courage, through the bold ideas and brave choices that have shaped us as Unitarian Universalists and still shape who we are becoming. You see, Unitarian Universalism is in many ways an unusual religious tradition. We're not held together by a single theology or creed or even dogma. We're not even held together by a shared way of experiencing the holy, the sacred. What binds us is a shared history, a shared longing for meaning made in freedom, and a shared courage to ask the big questions even when answers are hard to find. So our story begins in the early centuries of Christianity, when beliefs about Jesus were still taking shape. There was no single doctrine, no settled creed, but in 325 CE, the Council of Nicaea declared Jesus to be co-eternal with God, enshrining the doctrine of the Trinity. And those who disagreed, like Arius, Bishop of Alexandria, who saw Jesus as more than human but not fully divine, were pushed to the margins. Yet the idea that God is one never fully disappeared. And that spark caught fire, literally, in the 16th century with Michael Servetus in Spain. Reading scripture for himself, Servetus found no evidence of the Trinity. So he wrote it down, first in his book called On the Errors of the Trinity, and later in the Restoration of Christianity. Servetus believed that faith must come not from institutional authority, but from the individual's conscience and reason, and he paid for it with his life. Burned at the stake in Geneva on the orders of John Calvin. Yet the spark was lit. The belief that faith begins with conscience, not coercion, could not be extinguished. And that flame spread to Poland, where Faustus Socinus and the Polish brethren declared that faith must be grounded in reason, compassion, and love. They rejected fear-based religion and taught that salvation comes through ethical living. And this vision was carried not only by reformers, but by ordinary people like Catherine Weigel, an 80-year-old woman who was burned at the stake even before Michael Servetus in 1539 for refusing to betray her conscience and for questioning the doctrine of the Trinity. And then from Poland, the flame of this new faith traveled to the mountainous kingdom of Transylvania, where it took root in the life of Ferenc David. Moving from Catholicism to Lutheranism to Calvinism, David came to the simple radical conviction that God is one. And with the support of King John Sigismund, he preached religious tolerance and the unity of God at a time when such beliefs cost one everything. Now, David is also credited with coining the term Unitarian as a positive expression of faith in the oneness of God and the freedom of conscience. And in 1568, as you heard earlier, this vision was enshrined in the Edict of Torda, Europe's first legal guarantee of religious freedom, declaring that faith is the gift of God and no one shall be persecuted for their beliefs. And after the king's death, David was imprisoned for heresy and died in prison in 1579, but his legacy lived on. Hundreds of Unitarian congregations took root in Transylvania, and against all odds, through war, persecution, and oppression, many of those communities remain today, still preaching freedom of belief and the sacred worth of every person. Now the flame crossed the sea to England, where Theophilus Lindsay established the first openly Unitarian chapel in London, and beside him stood Joseph Priestley, scientist, reformer, minister, who taught that science and faith are not enemies but companions. His radical beliefs made him a target of violent mobs who burned down his house, his laboratory, and his church. And in 1794, Priestley fled to the United States, where he founded 2 Unitarian churches in Pennsylvania, one which exists to this day in Philadelphia, and became a friend of Thomas Jefferson. Priestley's conviction that science and faith are not enemies but companions helped plant the seeds of liberal religion in the New World, as it was called, a vision that continues to shape us today. Now, in New England, those seeds took root. Jonathan Mayhew in Boston challenged the harsh doctrines of Calvinism. James Freeman at King's Chapel led his Anglican congregation to adopt a Unitarian liturgy inspired by Theophilus Lindsay. And by 1785, King's Chapel became the first Unitarian church in America, embracing reason, dignity, and the teachings of Jesus, free from dogma. And those seeds took deeper root in the early 1800s as tensions over theology and authority in New England congregational churches erupted into what came to be called the Unitarian controversy. Without going into a lot of detail, this little tiny college called Harvard went from being Congregationalist to Unitarian. And in the midst of this upheaval, William Ellery Channing stepped into the pulpit of Baltimore in 1819 and delivered his sermon, Unitarian Christianity, in which he rejected original sin, affirmed the inherent dignity and moral capacity of every person, and insisted that reason and conscience must guide one's faith. He called on his listeners to clear away the dogmatic rubble that had buried the original message of Jesus. Much stubble is yet to be burned, he said, before Christianity could shine in its full moral beauty. And 6 years later, in May 1825, the American Unitarian Association was formed, 200 years ago this year. The next generation carried the torch further, sometimes in ways their mentors could scarcely imagine. Among them was Unitarian minister Ralph Waldo Emerson, who in his 1838 Divinity School address at Harvard actually in July 1838, stunned the theological establishment by calling for a direct personal experience of the divine. Emerson rejected second-hand religion, creeds, dogma, distant authorities, even the church itself, and urged listeners to trust their own souls, to seek the sacred not only within, but in the living world, the forests, rivers, and quiet places where the holy could be felt firsthand. Drawing from Hindu and Buddhist thought, Emerson and the Transcendentalists offered a vision of religion rooted in intuition, moral insight, reverence for nature, and the belief that the divine speaks through every living being. And that same spirit of boldness shaped the ministry of Theodore Parker. Influenced by Channing's moral optimism and Emerson's call for direct spiritual experience, Parker added an uncompromising commitment to justice. In his 1841 sermon, "The Transient and the Permanent in Christianity," he declared that while religious forms may fade, the heart of faith lies in timeless truth, love, justice, and mercy. Parker didn't just preach, he acted. He became one of the most outspoken abolitionists of his time, defining the fugitive slave law signed into law by a Unitarian president, Millard Fillmore, and sheltering escaped enslaved people in his own home, where he would write his sermons with a shotgun by his side. He was no pacifist. His Boston congregation grew to thousands, including reformers like Charles Sumner and William Lloyd Garrison. His influence reached far beyond his lifetime. Abraham Lincoln echoed Parker's words in the Gettysburg Address, "Government of the people, by the people, for the people." And Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. carried forward Parker's belief that the arc of the moral universe is long, but it bends towards justice. As Unitarianism moved westward, new voices emerged. The rigid theological battles of New England gave way to broader, more inclusive vision, one that found truth in many sources and the sacred in many traditions. This energy took root in the Western Unitarian Conference, led by Jenkins Lloyd Jones, a passionate preacher who helped shift Unitarianism toward practical ethics and global wisdom. In 1893, Jones helped organize the first World's Parliament of Religions in Chicago, where voices from Christianity, Judaism, Buddhism, Hinduism, Islam, the Brahmo Samaj, and more came together to learn from one another. This expanding vision was captured in William Channing Gannett's 1887 statement, "Things most commonly believed among us, a faith rooted in love, reason, human dignity, and a shared commitment to justice." Stepping into the 20th century, Unitarians and Universalists led movements for women's rights, peace, and social reform. Julia Ward Howe, Florence Nightingale, Lucy Stone, Louisa May Alcott, Susan B. Anthony, to just name a few. As the 20th century unfolded, leaders like John Haynes Holmes reminded us, serving at the Community Church of New York, that faith must lead to action. A pacifist who refused to support war, both the First and Second World Wars, Holmes helped found both the NAACP and the ACLU, believing that religion without justice was hollow. And in the Midwest, ministers like John Dietrich and Curtis Reese gave voice to religious humanism, shifting the focus from belief in a supernatural God to a human-centered search for meaning, ethics, and justice in this world, in this life. And this vision took shape in the 1933 Humanist Manifesto, declaring that it is human beings, not divine intervention, who must create justice, beauty, and hope. Yet this turn deepened rather than abandoned our moral core. We became a faith shaped by questions, conscience, and called to build a better world together. Now, even as Unitarianism in America was expanding through social reform and religious humanism, the flame of our faith was burning in Europe as well. In the Czech Republic, or as it was called, Czechoslovakia, Norbert Čapek, who became a Unitarian while living in the US during World War I, returned home with his wife Maha to plant the seeds of a new Unitarian community in Prague. And together they created the Flower Communion, a simple yet profound ritual celebrating the beauty, uniqueness, and dignity of every person. Maha Čapek later introduced this beloved tradition to the US, where it continues to remind us that each life, like each flower, holds inherent worth. Čapek's life was tragically cut short when his outspoken opposition to the Nazi occupation led to his arrest, imprisonment, and death in Dachau in 1942. Yet his vision lived on, a testament to the power of hope and beauty even in the bleakest times. And across the ocean, Reverend Waitstill and Martha Sharp Unitarian leaders from Massachusetts also rose to meet the horrors of fascism. Leaving behind the safety of home, they joined the newly formed Unitarian Service Committee, risking their lives to help hundreds of Jews, refugees, and dissidents escape Nazi-occupied Europe when they started using the flaming chalice symbol as a symbol of safety and freedom. And back home, Unitarian minister and theologian James Luther Adams was watching events unfold in Europe with alarm. After traveling to Germany in the 1930s, he saw firsthand how ordinary people could become complicit in tyranny. Adams returned convinced that liberal religion could never be passive, that it could never be almost entirely focused on individualism. He taught that freedom and democracy are not self-sustaining, they require vigilance, engagement, and the courage to act. An unexamined faith is not worth having, he warned, calling on religious liberals to stand firm against authoritarianism in all its forms. And that same call to action shaped the 1936 Commission on Appraisal report, Unitarians Face a New Age. In a world shaken by rising totalitarianism and unrest, the report called for a liberal religion bold enough to meet the moment, adaptive, grounded in the past, yet open to new knowledge and change. It affirmed that faith must live in communities of conscience and action, not set apart, but engaged in the world. And in the aftermath of fascism's rise and fall, the Reverend A. Powell Davies took up the call to action from the pulpit right here at All Souls Church in Washington, D.C. He understood the fight against tyranny abroad meant little if oppression and injustice were allowed to thrive at home. He preached that life is but a chance to grow a soul, and led efforts for racial integration, nuclear disarmament, and economic justice, reminding Unitarians that faith must be lived, that religious freedom means nothing without social freedom, and that a free pulpit in a free faith requires us to work for a free society. And so here we are. Today, we face new versions of old threats. Across the world and in our own communities, the machinery of authoritarianism and fascism grinds on. Concentration camps for migrants, the fear and scapegoating of the other, the erosion of hard-won rights. We see deepening inequality, the rise of a new gilded age, where the gap between wealth and poverty grows even wider. We see the forces of division and despair seeking to harden hearts and close minds. But the call of our Unitarian tradition to freedom, reason, acceptance, justice, and love remains as urgent as ever. So our task here and now is to be bold in spirit and tender in heart, to speak the truth, to build communities where difference is honored and welcomed, where dignity is upheld and love is not just a word but a way of life. We are called now to rise once again against fear, against injustice, against oppression, against the cruelty of indifference. We are called to build a world where no one is discarded, where every life is held as sacred. Because we need not think alike to love alike. We need not believe alike to work for justice together. The flame still burns. The flame still calls. The flame still lights the way. So let us kindle it anew. Let us carry it forward. Let us be the prophetic faith handed to us by our spiritual ancestors this world so desperately needs. May it be so. Amen. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. You know what a joy it is to preach a history sermon and receive this. I really love it. Thank you. Well, and 21 minutes, not bad. Let us rise in body and or in spirit to sing Come Spirit of Life that the choir and Michael are going to lead us in.
Can you hear me? Get our mic on. All right. Is it on? Yes. This is a new one for this congregation, so we're going to teach it to, we can hear the choir do it once. We can start by maybe trying to move and clap a little bit, but I'll guide you through that part. We're going to sing it several times. These words you see up here, it's wonderful, rousing, and I think it works perfectly with what we just heard. So, shall we?
So I was sharing with the choir when I heard them rehearsing this morning that it felt like a Universalist revival meeting. You see, the Universalists were known for their revival meetings, which is how they grew their faith. Unitarians, on the other hand, were known for their intellectual, heady services. And that's, why we got that wonderful, well, whatever you call it, that we Unitarians are God's frozen people. We're not. Cedar Lane is not. But I think this would qualify as a Unitarian revival today. Thank you. Thank you. And our summer choir and our family choir will be singing this summer. I think the family choir will sing next Sunday. And then in August, again, we'll have the summer choir. So if you're interested, you can just drop in at 9 o'clock and learn. At 8:30. He just keeps changing the time. Anyway, before we head into the rest of the morning, I want to take a minute to highlight a few things that are happening this week where you can connect, grow, and make a difference right here at Cedar Lane. First, if you're new or still feeling new, join us for our newcomer chat after the service today. It's a relaxed time for some snacks and conversation where you can meet a minister, connect with some of our members and other newcomers, learn about what it means to belong here and get to know our community. We'll be in the library, which is right that way. We're also looking for a few good volunteers for our AV ministry team, the folks who make worship happen behind the scenes. I mean, I look pretty, but they make me sound good. So, shout out to Khalid Straker, our AV coordinator, and Todd Chernikov, who's handling different things here today. And if you're curious about audio, video, or live streaming and would like to learn some new skills or practice skills, please talk to Khalid, who'll be around after service. Right, Khalid? I just made sure you're sticking around. And coming up, August 18th through the 22nd, Cedar Lane's arts-based summer camp is in full swing, registering children ages 6 to 12 to explore creativity, community, and connection. You can register at tinyurl.com/arts-based-summer-camp-cl. It's in the e-news. Feel free to share it with family and friends and invite them. And our Federal Worker Support Group continues to meet on Zoom on the first Monday of the month, with the next gathering tomorrow at 7 p.m. If you're interested to join, please see me after the service. And if you're feeling ready to take the next step and make Cedar Lane your spiritual home, the membership book will be open today in the library, and we would love to welcome you. All of this is more than information, it's an invitation, a chance to belong, to serve, to grow. Thank you for being a part of this community. And before we go, I want to share a word from the Reverend Egbert Ethelred Brown, a name many have never heard, but one we should carry with us. Egbert Ethelred Brown was born in Jamaica in 1875 and became the first black Unitarian minister in North America. And when he showed up at Meadville Lombard Theological School, he was told to go home because there was no place for black Unitarian ministers in our movement. And later on, the American Unitarian Association refused to support him when he was trying to form a ministry. So he still went ahead, and in 1920, he founded the Harlem Unitarian Church, a place where faith, justice, and community met during the Harlem Renaissance. Brown believed that religion must not only comfort the soul, but inspire action for dignity, freedom, and joy. So as we leave this space, I draw from his ministry and his words to say, may we live worthily by showing up for one another. May we live joyfully by keeping the flame of hope alive. May we live courageously by bending our lives towards justice and love. Go in peace. Go making peace, living gently, loving mightily, and bowing always to the mystery. So may it be. And we close with another glorious postlude from Unitarian composer Bela Bartok.